Hello everyone, welcome to Sociology For You. I welcome all of you in today's video and today we are going to discuss a very interesting and very important topic related to works of Karl Marx. So Karl Marx, everyone must have heard of this sociologist, philosopher, thinker. He has been one of the most influential thinkers of historical times, and even today his views resonate a lot with a lot of people and about understanding of society, how power in the country or in a society works, and how the evolution of society happens. And today's topic is basically hitting on that very spot. Today we are going to see through the lens of Marx how a society evolves, how a society evolves. And this theory of historical and dialectical materialism is basically tracing the entire history of the society. So Karl Marx believed everything that exists in society. When I say the word society, what do I mean? It's grouping of people. Society is grouping of people which has its own set of beliefs, own set of laws, beliefs, we can say culture, family values, family system, marriage, education, religion, and a lot other things. Society is basically culmination of everything. So Karl Marx tries to explain how everything in society comes into origin and how they evolve with passing of time. So let's start with the three words that Marx uses to talk about the society and its evolution. The three words are very important. The first word is historical. Historical basically means tracing its roots from history. So Marx has tried to explain the society from the past to the present day. So Marx traces the society from past to present, and that is why the word historical exists in the name of this theory. Another word is materialism. Materialism is core belief of Marx. It is the core belief of Marx. What is meaning of materialism? Materialism comes from the word material. Marx believes everything that exists in society depends upon how is material produced in a society. How is material produced in society? In society. Marx also calls this as mode of production. Mode of production. So material or mode of production means whatever of value or economic importance is being produced in society decides what kind of society is it. So materialism means how material is being produced decides the type of society. Seems very weird how, say for example, a society produces most of its value through agriculture. So how this agriculture going to decide what kind of society will come into picture? A society produces everything from industry. How is this industry going to form what kind of society there will be? Or there is a society which is mix of both agriculture and industry. So Marx believe whatever is produced, whatever material is being created in the society decides what kind of society there is going to be. And finally, there is a word in the name of the theory, dialectical. Dialectic basically stands for the two opposites which cannot exist without each other. To explain it, let me simplify it. If I say the word night, it is obvious there is existence of day. These two are opposite but cannot exist without each other. If I say the word up, by default it means there is going to be something called down. If there is no down, up does not mean anything, because then there is no point of saying something is higher if there is nothing lower, and it's not possible. So dialectic means two conflicting things which exist because of each other. So before I proceed upon explaining the word dialectical, this dialectical and the idea Marx got was of Hegel. So dialectic is basically the work of Hegel. So before talking about this theory, let's talk a little bit about word dialectic and about the Hegel. So Hegel's ideas based on dialectics, thesis, antithesis. These are the two dialectics that Hegel talked about. What is meaning of it? And this the concept now I am going to talk about is called idealism of Hegel. Idealism, the primary word idealism comes from the word idea. Hegel believed idea is the origin of everything. Origin of everything. Anything that comes into existence in society or society as a whole evolve from ideas. Ideas are the base. Rest everything comes out of these ideas. And how the society changes is because ideas change. How do these ideas change? So Marx said there is something called thesis, the current scenario or current idea based on which everything exists. Then with time its opposition comes into picture. Opposition to what? To this existing current idea. And this opposition Hegel called antithesis. And then these theses and antitheses interact with each other and gives rise to a new idea which he called synthesis. So thesis, and this is what Hegel mean about thesis, current state of ideas that has given birth to some societies, institutions. Then there is opposing idea, to which Hegel called antithesis, opposing idea. And then finally after their interaction a new idea comes into picture, new idea, and thereby the new institutions of the society and everything else he called synthesis. And the circle continues because then the new idea will get its own opposition in the form of new antithesis. New antithesis. And then these two are going to interact under new synthesis is going to form. So as per Hegel, this circle continues again and again. But the primary thing he used was idea to be the base, material to be the result of this. So idea was base for Hegel and material was result for Hegel. This is the primary idea of Hegel, which we call idealism of Hegel. But Marx, you can say, inverted this entire scenario. You can say Marx inverted the Hegel. Marx said no, ideas cannot be the base. Material production, mode of production is the base. You can say economic superstructure. What do I mean is how a society produces its value, agriculture, hunting or food gathering, industry, whatever society does to produce the value decides what kind of society will exist. What kind of society will exist. So to say it as in a simpler word, Marx said you will have family system based on how or what is being produced in the society. You will see in earlier times families or people used to prefer joint family, and now if you ask young people which kind of family is good, predominantly you are going to get answer small family as the answer. What has changed? Marx will say how the value is being produced has changed. Earlier, agriculture was base that produced value in the society, and agriculture required a lot of labor. So, joint family was necessity and promoted. But as society's predominant value changed from agriculture to industry, and industry is by default set up in the cities, and to move in the cities you need to break away from joint family. You need to break away from joint family and live in small groupings or small family, and hence this small family will now be promoted as ideal family system. So it is not individual who decides joint family is good or small family is good. It is society as a whole decides which kind of family system is good based on which kind of economic system is being used in that society. And this is how Marx explained everything in the society. Curious ideas. So let's now talk about how Marx talked about historical materialism, or let's understand what, according to Marx, results in the society's formation historically to modern days. So let's talk about it. Let me erase it. Okay. So Marx traced as I told, the word historical is used. Marx said, let's take the wheel of time back to the point where human beings existed in earliest of the times. So he said, in this society, this is a tribal society. Ancient age old society of humans must be tribal society, Marx believed. So what is the value or work that is being done by them? Obviously, the ancient humans were like animals. The only primary thing they used to do was to gather, to do something that will result in food production. And what were the things that were done to get the food? Either the humans were hunting or they were food gathering. Do they need anyone else for this? No. So there were no groupings or no classes that existed in this society, because human beings, everyone was independent, and they were basically hunter or food gatherer, right? So this society Marx terms as ancient old society, and Marx gave the name primitive communism. Now, as Marx used the idea of Hegel of dialectic, so Marx believed there must be something to oppose this. So this society, primitive communism, existed. Now this was the thesis as per the Marx. Now let's see how antithesis came into picture. Antithesis. Now predominantly hunting and food gathering was the job, but some of the people, or say 2 or 3 individuals, were relatively stronger. They were stronger because of their muscular force or powerful. Now they changed the system. They told remaining others that they will provide them protection, they will save them from threats, be it of opposing groups, opposing tribes, if possible from animals, because they are more powerful, etc. etc. In return, everyone will follow their orders, follow them. Now a new kind of society came into existence, and Marx called them slave society. Slave society. So a new kind of society has come into picture, and now the distinct 2 classes have come into picture. One is master and another one is slaves. So if I ask a curious question, what is master getting? He is getting food. Obviously he is not going to sleep hungry. He is getting food. What are slaves getting? Slaves are getting protection. If I ask who is exploiting who in the terms of economic value, its obvious answer, master is obviously rich in the terms of food, he is powerful, and if we have to see from the point of view of exploitation, master is exploiting the slaves. So this was first society, this was second society. What changed? Now Marx will say this is the seller. Now Marx says let's move even further. Let's move the wheel of time even further. In the third stage, there was this master and slave existed in the second stage, but now suddenly there has been advent of agriculture. Somehow humans have learned that land can be used to grow crops, and these crops are basically food. Obviously hunting was also happening, but predominant mode of production became agriculture. And what is the basic requirement for agriculture? That is the land. So the same master, now he, because of his power, he became landlord. Okay, okay, I own all the land, all the slaves will work on this land, and these slaves became peasants. Now a new kind of society came into existence. Marx called it feudal system because of change in mode of production, and now agriculture is predominant mode of production. And he says now entire society is going to evolve because of the agriculture. So I can say this is agriculture, the predominant mode of production. Obviously hunting and food gathering is also there, but it is minimum. This is majority. And now what will happen? A new kind of society will come into existence. The two classes that exist, one is landlord and another is peasant. These are the new classes evolved from previous ones were master and slave. Master and slave. And new kind of family system, small family. What kind of festivals? Earlier in master and slave, some tribal festivals were celebrated. Tribal festivals, Marx said either they were sacrifices of animals, sacrifices, taboos, superstitions related to hunting. These were the predominant thing, but in new society, as the society has changed, a new kind of religions based, primarily based on agriculture, crops, everything changed. A new kind of laws came into picture, feudal laws, new kind of rights and wrongs, all because this has come into picture. And Marx believes who decides what will be there? He says landlord, the one who holds power. Landlords are the ones who controls all groups, laws, rules of society. You must have seen in movies when they show ancient societies, the people who are rich, who are landlords, basically decide everything because they hold the power. Even the police, education, government, everything is decided upon by this class called landlord. And this is the class Marx called feudal. This is the society Marx called feudalism. Now again thesis, antithesis, same as Marx or Hegel. Now he says now exists agriculture, but with the time something else comes into picture, and that is factory system. Due to factory or industry, these new kinds of mode of production comes into picture because of advent of science, because of advent of logic, because of advent of inventions. So human beings propensity of science, logic and inventions result in new kind of mode of production, and that is industry. Now Marx says as society goes from, obviously agriculture has not been lost, but predominant things becomes industry. Food hunting and food gathering has been kind of entirely lost. Now agriculture, but predominantly industry has become the powerful source. What is basic requirement for industry or factory to be set up? Everyone would agree the basic requirement is money, or we can say surplus. Who has the money? From ancient type there are two classes that existed, landlord and peasant. If I have to choose who has the money to form the factory, so Marx would say the same landlord now gets opportunity to become capitalist. So now the new kind of society comes into picture. The class landlord now changes to capitalist. He establishes factories in the cities. He established factories in the cities. So which life will be promoted? City life will be promoted. Which kind of education will be promoted? The kind of education required in the industry. New education comes into picture. New jobs come into picture. What kind of family life will be promoted? Obviously small family will be promoted. Hospitals, religion, entertainment, everything in the society takes a new form, and all on the behest of capitalist. And the people who were earlier peasants, now they become workers. A new class come into picture, that is capitalist and worker class. And Marx believe the same capitalist is still powerful. So this capitalist controls government through money, controls police through government. Laws are formed for the benefit of the capitalist, for protection of the interests of capitalist. Education, everything is basically controlled by capitalist, and the exploited class is workers. Marx named the capitalist class bourgeois and worker class as proletariat. So this is how Marx explains or traces capitalism based on two classes, bourgeois and proletariat. And this was the time of Karl Marx. This was the time of Karl Marx. He was existing in this time. So now he said this exploitation that is age old exploitation, starting from feudal society to capitalist society, will continue until and unless there is change in the system completely, and this can be done through revolution. What revolution? He said all the workers need to understand their exploitation and understand the cause of their exploitation is capitalist and the entire system. entire system in the society. So the entire system needs to be changed. It cannot be changed peacefully because there will be resistance, so there needs to be armed revolution. Armed revolution. This armed revolution throw existing will throw existing government out of the power, will fight off the police, army and everything the government will use to suppress them. They have to fight and overthrow, and once they are successful they will form a new government where workers have the power. Marx believed for a time one of the leader will assume the charge. He would have the responsibility of removing all old systems in existence, and for that he would needs to be a dictator for temporary period. So Marx believed temporary dictatorship will be necessary. So this society where worker government exists, all agricultural land, all industry is collectively owned by workers, and he called this society as socialist society. Following ideas of the Marx, Russian Revolution happened. As the result, Lenin came into power. After Lenin, obviously Stalin came into power. He was obviously dictator, but no one actually leaves the dictatorship. Whereas Marx believed after a time, this society will give birth to a new kind of society. He called this society as communist society and the ideology as communism, where he believed the dictator will give up his power, give up dictatorship. Why? Because everyone now believes that communism is perfect. Basically, he said people are good at heart and they will see the benefits of communism, and there would not be need of this dictator. Everyone would work. He believed everyone would work. There will be no classes. So it will be a classless society. No rich, no poor, no powerful, no powerless. Everyone will be equal and same. Equal and same. Everyone will work, and this will be the ideal society as per Marx. But obviously Russian Revolution happened, Stalin came into picture, he was dictator, but no one ever gives up the power reaching at that stage. So this hypothetical communist society that Marx believed, which would be classless society, never came into picture, and it is still, we also call this as utopia of Marx. Marx believed people to be inherently good, so he believed after this revolution the temporary society will be socialist society, and this ideology is called socialism, where means of productions are jointly owned. Many countries accepted this as a good form of government, so socialism or socialist society was accepted as the prime thing. So this is how Marx traced the society in his theory of historical materialism. I hope you guys liked this lecture, and the topic and this theory was interesting. Please share your comments and do let me know what are your views about this theory and what other topics you would like to see me make videos on. Thank you everyone. Have a good day. Stay tuned for more such videos.